Good evening, everyone. My name is David Matney with Nebraska Realty here in Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome to the live stream. And tonight we're going to have a great show. And if you can hear me okay, if you could leave a note in the chat and make sure that if everybody can hear me okay. And then the other thing is we have a poll in tonight's chat as well. So if you want to answer that poll, it's do you think tariffs will have a negative impact on the U.S. housing market? Okay. And then if you don't mind, if you're in the chat, then let us know where you're calling or where you're from. So that's always fun to watch where people are coming or viewing the live stream from. So there's lots of activity and lots of things going on in the news. And it's hard to believe we're already in the month of February. So January flew by, and tonight we're going to discuss the hot topic of tariffs. Okay, and this is a fluid situation. Last week, it looked like we were going to have 25% tariff imposed on Canada and Mexico, and then late yesterday, looks like that has been postponed for about a month. So we're going to look at a news clip from CNBC on the impact of tariffs on the housing market. And then, I asked this, and that is, we're going to talk a little bit about politics and that sort of thing. So hopefully everybody will be nice in the chat and that sort of thing, and we won't go political or anything like that. But in addition to tariffs, we're going to talk about a few other topics. And then if we have time, then we're going to jump on Reddit and look at a couple posts there, because it's always kind of fun to look at the world of Reddit. But before we talk about tonight's topic, I would like to bring on a special guest. I have with me tonight Mike Patel, and Mike has the Home Savvy Central YouTube channel. And Mike's channel is geared toward sellers. So he has a lot of great information and a lot of great content, so you can check that out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and add Mike to the program. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, how are you, David? Thanks for inviting me. I'm honored that you invited me on your show and live stream. I know you've been a guest on mine, and you have a lot of knowledge. So I'm curious to see where we go today with all the tariffs. It's a big topic. So
it's a big topic, yes. And thank you very much, Mike. And Mike, you're from Anaheim Hills, is that correct?
Correct. Anaheim Hills, okay. Orange County, California, Southern California.
Gotcha. All right, terrific. How's everything going as far as with the fires and everything like that? Have you seen an impact? How is that affecting your market?
It's impacting in a big way.
Okay.
I'm about an hour away, but I've been showing homes 20 miles towards LA. Right. And there's multiple offers, home selling 100, 200,000 over list price.
Wow.
Rentals are hard to come by. There's rental gouging going on. Two agents that I know of have already been arrested and going to be charged.
Wow.
So a lot of things going on. It's not a good thing. But, fires are gone now, and hopefully the recovery stage begins.
Yep, exactly. Okay, terrific. Well, that's, hey, it looks like we have Clark. Hey, David, I tried answering the poll, but it says already completed. Well, that's my first poll, Clark. So, and then Clark says, "Hi, Mike."
Hi, how are you?
All right.
See you, Clark.
All right, Clark. Well, thanks for tuning in, and so, okay. Well, all right. We'll dive in today's topic. Okay, and we're going to play a little video clip here, and we'll go ahead and kick that off.
Back tariffs on lumber and other goods could have a big impact on the housing market. Diana Olick here with us with more on the spillover effect. Diana.
Yes, Sarah, the Home Building Industry Association is already asking President Trump to exempt building materials from the 25% tariffs. In a release over the weekend, NAHB Chairman Carl Harris said more than 70% of the imports of two essential materials that home builders rely on, that is softwood lumber and gypsum, that's drywall, come from Canada and Mexico, respectively. Now, tariffs on lumber and other building materials increase the cost of construction and discourage new development, and consumers end up paying for the tariffs in the form of higher home prices, he said. Up to 30% of softwood, which is your framing lumber, consumed in the U.S. each year comes from Canada. And while the U.S. has ramped up lumber production in recent years, 70% of all wood product imports, that's $8.5 billion, are from Canada. They're already subject to a 14.5% tariff, so this would raise it to over 39%. And while the Mexican tariffs are now on hold for a month, 71% of lime and gypsum product imports are from Mexico, totaling $352 million. And other materials like steel and appliances are sourced from China. The NAHB says the new tariffs on imports from Canada and China and potentially from Mexico could raise construction material costs by $3 to $4 billion, affecting builders' ability to complete projects. Now, lumber futures are up just around 1.5% to 2% today. They were up higher before the Mexico announcement.
All right, there's a lot to digest there, and let's go ahead and bring Mike. Mike, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not an economist or a financial guru or anything, but I know that tariffs are not good at this time of the economy where housing is stabilizing. Hopefully, it's still in a rough state. We don't know where it's going to go, but seems like prices are going up, rates are going up, and the tariffs will only do one thing immediately. Of course, long term, we don't know, but if they do that, Canada already retaliated. Mexico already retaliated. And of course, the news said that the Mexico, it's been extended for 30 more days. But guess what? The day after, I don't know how old that news clip is, but Canada also extended it. So there is no tariffs going on right now. But I'm sure the administration stopped that because they could see the dangers. But I think here's the thing. If tariffs go up, our home prices, lumber prices, and everything else is going to go up. But on top of that, if there's mass deportation, there's already deportation. I looked at the news clip in Florida. This lady, this company, they own a construction company. She voted for Trump and DeSantis. And now she's pissed at them because guess what? All the construction workers are out. She has no construction workers and her job is stopped. So it'll have a bad impact. In my opinion, it's not a good idea.
Nobody wins in a trade war, and that clip is a day old because I understood that from Canada's side they postponed for another 30 days. So
I think so, right? Yeah.
Hopefully they get things worked out because, like I said, nobody wins in a trade war, and they just looking at the price of lumber. You can see yesterday. I'll share this here. This is the price of lumber. Let me share this here. Okay, this is the price of lumber. And you can see yesterday it spiked to $630 per 1,000 board feet. And then it came down after they got things resolved. Hopefully they get things worked out permanently. Because I said, there's nobody that wins in a trade war and that sort of thing. So that's
and I didn't know. I just looking at the clip, I didn't know that a lot of stuff for building comes from Canada and Mexico, lumber and the other material that talk. That's a huge amount coming from there, and putting 25% on top will be not a good thing.
Right, and I've heard, I knew we imported a lot of lumber from Canada, but I didn't know the gypsum thing. I didn't know that was coming in from, and I didn't know we already had they had put tariffs in place back in 2018, and those have stayed in place since then. And just looking at I'm going to share this, to the lumber prices for going back 10 years. You can see back in 2018 how lumber prices went up back in 2018. I think what's really amazing is looking at the lumber prices back during the pandemic when they shut down the mills and everything. Look at how
that's why it went up. I was wondering why it went up so high, but because they shut it down.
That was the pandemic when they shut it down and all that sort of thing. So since then it's kind of settled down a little bit, but it's funny, it went up, when they talk about the tariffs of 2018, the price of lumber went up as well. So yeah, it's just, hopefully this is not a cycle. Hopefully they get things worked out and we don't go through this cycle every 30 days of playing this game, because it just throws home prices are already unaffordable enough the way they are.
Right.
We don't need to do anything to make them worse.
No. Yeah. The prices are sky high as it is. And then what we don't want is any outside influence, which may be temporary or not temporary or permanent. And the only people that are going to get hurt more than the sellers are the buyers, especially the first-time home buyers. But remember, a lot of sellers become buyers. So, and remember, housing is almost 17% of our GDP. It's a big monster. Don't mess with that. That's what I say.
Let's see what Clark says. No tariffs right now with Canada and Mexico, but still China as of currently. Yeah, and I believe with China it's 10%. If I've heard correctly, I'm not sure about that.
Okay. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. All these crazy trade wars will keep home prices elevated for sure, especially new construction. And when new construction goes up, that's also going to drag up existing as well. And and then there's going to be folks that, some builders are going to decide, hey, I'm going to raise prices just for the fact that they can have an excuse to raise prices. So hopefully this, that gets worked out and everything. But yeah, it's trade wars are not good. And
no, not at all. Especially for the average consumer, it's not good at all.
Right. Now, do you guys is there any, you're going to have the rebuild from the fires, but as far as new construction out in your neck of the woods, is there any new construction going on out there, Mike?
Not a whole lot. Where I'm at in Orange County, there's not a lot of land. There are construction, but it's like 100 homes, 50 homes. But if you go in Inland Empire, which is past San Bernardino, Corona, if you go towards the desert, Barstow, Atlanta, Victorville, so where the place is more suburban, there's a lot of home construction going on.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we need more homes in the metro areas, and
right. I mean,
land is expensive, and the red tape is expensive. Getting permits and things like that.
In your market, what are like the median? What are we looking at for where does a starter home start in terms of price in your area?
Well, where I'm at, I'll give you two prices. One in Anaheim Hills, the starter home or the medium price home is about 1.1.
Wow.
Orange County, and I'm kind of guessing, but it's the right kind of guess, is about 1.2. And what you get is a 1965 home, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, about 2,000 square feet. So your typical bread and butter home. So $1 million will get you a bread and butter. The home that I used to sell for $500,000 10 years ago, I have doubled. You don't get a whole lot.
Yeah.
And these are the homes. I remember I told you there's a lot of multiple offers. It's on these price range. The $1 million is just your norm today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, where do these folks work to make that kind of money, or how do they do it?
There's money out there. I mean, a lot of them sell their home or pull out the equity, or they make money in stocks, or a lot of the millennials. A lot of my clients are also millennials, an accountant and a doctor married together, pharmacy and dentist married together, or professionals making 125 each. That's $250,000. So there's money out there. There's also a lot of inheritance money coming out there. A lot of parents, grandparents, siblings helping each other.
Yeah.
And also the new trend that we are finding out, not just in Orange County, but Southern California and nationwide, is there's a lot of multi-generational homes where the parents buy with the kids, or the kids buy with the parents, and stay together and pull in.
It makes me so grateful that I live in a place like Omaha when I think of our median sale price is $300,000, which I think is a lot of money, but compared to $1 million, I mean, you get quite $1 million goes quite a ways in Omaha, but I think of a $600,000 house in new construction, or $700,000. I'm like, wow, that's a castle. And
1 bedroom, 1 bath in Orange County, a decent 1 bedroom, 1 bath condo is, I would say, start at 400.
Is that right? Yep. Wow.
Decent. I mean, older ones, you may find something for 300 to 350, but even that's rare.
Gee whiz. That's Clark, you're paying $1 million for a renovated home or a resale with no renovations. Wow.
Yeah, not even renovated. Just your bread and butter. I'm saying bread and butter home.
Wow.
Your typical
Now,
30-year-old, 35-year-old home, so it's crazy out there.
now you see, now are your buyers older? Because like the median age last year for the first time home buyer was 38. Do you see, are the people in their 50s and 40s and 50s? Do you see a little bit older person then, or is it just
Yeah,
they have really good jobs?
We are seeing older people, but it's a mix. There's older people
Gotcha.
selling a bigger house, moving into a smaller single-story home, and a lot of older homes are single-story. That's an advantage. They also
Yeah.
have a yard, which is an advantage. Some people want yard and single-story, don't
Right.
want the 2 or 3 stories. So there's a mix. A lot of youngsters, they want a double story. Like Irvine, you get $1 million home, you get a condo
Yeah.
with a patio, and they're flying out the door.
And there's multiple offers there.
Oh yeah.
That's yeah. Let's see, Clark.
Yeah, the luxury market is no longer $1 million. You got to be over 2 million to call it a luxury market anymore.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Clark says, yes, I'm seeing lots of multi-generational living here in Atlanta, Georgia as well. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Well, we're going to shift gears and talk about another article I'm going to share with us here. And it has to deal with kind of going along with what you guys have just were talking about there. 5 housing market trends to keep an eye on in 2025. The U.S. housing market underwent 5 years of changes that are complicating the home buying process. And that's true because we've seen it with the NAHB settlement and all that sort of thing. Emerging from the pandemic, the chronic lack of inventory disrupted the principles of supply and demand, causing home prices to soar because the Federal Reserve kept interest rates too low for too long during the pandemic. Home buyers are in a hangover period following one of the largest housing booms in modern history. With elevated mortgage rates, we anticipated continued growth in listing inventory, a slowdown in housing price appreciation, and ongoing innovations to assist professionals and consumers. Here are the 5 major trends I expect for 2025. The first one is we see the expansion of listing inventory. Now, we're seeing inventory expansion in our market locally, but I imagine with the fires with multiple offers and no new construction, Mike, you're not seeing any of that, are you?
No, our inventory is down.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be up slightly, but it's still, if you go back to the days of pre-COVID, if there were 100 homes for sale, at that time, we're at maybe 40 or 30. I'm just giving an example. So if it goes from 40 to 45 or 50, yeah, it's an increase, but it's still short.
Right.
So you got to you got to take it into perspective. Hey, market's crashing. There's more homes for sale. No, they're not. We still have a norm in Anaheim Hills. Our normal inventory used to be 120 homes for sale right now. And single family homes right now in Anaheim Hills, I said there's less than 10.
Wow.
Not condos, just single family home. There's less than 10 for sale as of today. Wow.
Yeah. During the pandemic in Omaha, we had at one of the low points, we had 600 homes in the entire market, and 350 of those were new construction. So we had absolutely, now we've seen an inventory since then, and I'll share this as well. Homes for sale. I'll share this screen here. This is our local market here. Our inventory, and this is Douglas and Sarpy County. So this is the Omaha metro area, and that's about 1 million folks total. Our inventory is up 21.5% compared to 2024 in terms of our inventory. But yeah, inventory is going up, but the pandemic inventory, that was just insane as far as that goes. Now, the second trend they were talking about in this article, it's while housing prices will keep rising, it won't get too crazy. And again, real estate's always going to be local. So when you take a market like LA with the fires, that's going to throw you guys completely for a loop right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always going to be local. We're seeing in terms of our, I'll share this with you locally, our closed, our median, and this is, let me share this one here. This is the median closed sales price in Douglas and Sarpy County. So last year it was up 9.1%.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2025, it was only up 1.6%. So we didn't move up that much. But Mike, this will kind of drive you crazy here. I'll share this with you. We'll go 10 years, or let's go 5 years. This will probably shock you, but the median closed sales price back in January of 2020 was $201,500. Can you believe that?
Yeah. I don't even want to come and sell over there at 200,000. I mean, it's not worth the time, is it?
Yeah. So that's a.
But they've gone up quite a bit in 5 years. You've seen a big jump. So
exactly,
you've gone up $100,000. That's a big jump.
Oh yeah, and then you can also see the seasonality too in here, where it peaks in the summer months,
mm-hmm.
and then decreases in the winter months. But if you smooth this out, take the rolling 12-month average, it smooth things out. But go back 10 years. 10 years ago we were looking at 158,000.
Wow.
It's just amazing. Now we're at 300.
Yeah.
So it's like, amazing how that takes place.
Where's all the buyers coming from to Nebraska? Because, you got a big demand. Where are they coming from? Is it local or relocation, or?
We're getting, we're really growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're getting, I'm actually working with some folks right now that are from Yorba Linda, just right north of you guys. And so, but we're getting folks relocating. And again, I got a YouTube channel, so sometimes it's skewed a little bit more to relocation folks as well. So I'm seeing a lot more relocation folks, and they're pleasantly surprised when they look at our, I had some clients last year from California, and they were able to be brand new buyers, be able to buy a brand new home for just over $300,000, a starter home, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage on a 1/4-acre lot for $305,000.
Wow.
And they were just tickled pink about that.
1/4 acre, man, that's amazing. That's
well, we got more land.
That's a big land. That's a big land.
All right, and then let's see. The next one here, it says 2025 won't do us any favors on mortgage rates. So, the thing is, the mortgage rates are what they are, and people still got to live life. So people, get married, get divorced, have babies. Life is still going to happen. So buyers are still out there. It just makes a difference as to the affordability. All right. So let's see. Clark has a couple comments here. Let's see. Lots of military living. So what are your current months of supply there? Okay, I'll share that with you, Clark. Months of supply. We'll go. Let me pull that up here real quick. And share this. Okay, Clark, we're at 2.1 months of supply right now. But if you break that down between new construction versus existing, for new construction, we're at 6.6 months of inventory. But again, some of that are going to be kind of skewed because some of that's going to be just lots and that sort of thing. So they're not completely ready. 2.1 total, but for existing, we're at 1.1 months of supply. So the existing market, we're still seeing some multiple offers, but some people are still able to do inspections and that sort of thing. So anyway, that answers that question. Jump back to this, and then let's see. Saw a vid today saying Nebraska is the 15th most heavily taxed state. And MH08, you are correct. We are heavily taxed. That is true. Okay. Clark says, is Omaha an affordable place to live since the median is a bit more manageable compared to some other states like New York, California, Georgia? Yeah, we're more affordable, but our property taxes are high and our insurance, our homeowners insurance is pretty steep too. Okay. All right. MH08 wouldn't cry if he was transferred to Omaha. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Okay. The next one, the mortgage rates. And let's look at this number here. I just wanted to show this slide here. This is the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and this is the 30-year fixed rate mortgage average in the United States going back till 1971. And I remember those days. I mean, I was a kid, but I remember when interest rates were in the CDs were getting an awful amount of money back then. If you had a savings account, you had a CD, you got a nice healthy return back then. But look at interest rates in the early 1980s. And then all this time after the Great Recession, we had rates below 5%, and we got spoiled with that, and then we had the pandemic, and then rates went to 2.2 and under 3%, which is just crazy.
Yeah, great.
And now they're at 7, which it seems extremely high, but when you compare it, to the 80s and the 90s, a 6% interest rate in the 90s, boy, you were just as happy as a clam back then, but yeah, it's just amazing to see that. It's all in perspective what you're used to. Let's go back to the article here. All right. And then good news, there will be a modest increase in home sales. Okay. And that's good news because we just came off some of the lowest sales in the past year, so it'd be nice to have more sales out there. But what about you guys in terms of the number of sales? Is it still crazy for you guys, Mike?
Well, when you have no inventory, the sales factors get affected. And you're right, that we've had the lowest sales last year. In fact, I read a report on maybe I came across a YouTube channel, and they were saying that in the last 30 years, 2024 was the lowest amount of home sale as far as the units goes.
Right.
But remember, that's really bad news. But remember, that's because inventory is low. If there was more inventory, so it's a catch-22. Which one is right? Yes. Oh my gosh, lowest sales in 30 years. But hey, if you go to a liquor store and they have no liquor to sell, so they have zero sales. So that doesn't mean it's bad. They just don't have any liquor. So I think of it that way. Yes, it has been the lowest, but there's a reason for it. There's demand is very high, but a lot of the sellers who have the golden handcuff, they're not going to move. A lot of sellers who remodel like myself, I'm not going to move. Right. So, I mean, I know a lot of people who have 2.5%, 3% fixed rate. Why should they move and go at 8%, 7%?
Right. No, that's and that's
it's good and bad. It's bad that it was less sales, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, I think the only thing that's going to solve that will be time. As we got to work our way out of this, and it's just simply going to be time. You can't wave a magic wand and say, okay, hey, we want 5% interest rates, or what's nice about the Omaha market is we can, we are building homes and we have new construction available. I talked to, Joe Pareca, Mike, yourself, and I talked to Jen and Jackie, and those guys, you guys are in markets that don't have new construction. So I just feel so fortunate that I'm in a market like Omaha that's more affordable in terms of price, and we have new construction out there. So it gives people just more options.
Right. Are your builders out there giving incentives? Because a lot of the builders here, when they have oversupply or they give you a lot of interest rate, you can't fight those. They're so good. So I don't know if they're offering.
They're offering some incentives.
Okay.
And we just had DR Horton move into our neck of the woods as well. They just came in probably, I think, around 2021 is when they came into our market. So that's telling you something about our market as well, because if a big national builder sees opportunity, they're not going to come to a market if they didn't see growth.
Right.
And then we're getting, we have a nickname now called the Silicon Prairie, because we're getting a lot of Facebook built a big data center, and so did Google.
Okay.
Built big data centers, and they like the quality of life. Yeah, we pay high taxes, but they just get they like our school system and our workforce and our work ethic. And so we're seeing a lot of, some of those folks, for a long time, we just we just fly over country and people forgot about us. But I think we're becoming more on the radar screen because of just a little bit more opportunity.
Yeah.
This last one says innovation in housing will continue in surprising ways. They're talking about innovation. We're seeing a little bit of that in terms of builders building a little bit more, we're seeing a lot of apartments being built. That's going crazy. But we're seeing a little bit more row homes and the things that are a little bit more affordable.
Yeah.
Below that, if somebody could figure out how to build a $250,000 new construction in the Omaha market, boy, they would just go crazy,
Yeah.
But they're still selling at 300. So that's, what about you guys in terms of innovation? Is there anything going on with that for you guys?
Well, as far as innovation, I'm not sure if they're talking about the construction, but yeah, I mean, the homes are kind of like high tech. California new law is that you must have a solar, which is good. So any new home, you must have a solar, either leased or bought. So that's one thing.
Okay.
A lot of homes have digital light switches and motion sensor detectors. They have fire sprinklers in there. But some of the new things I'm seeing is thermostats, which adjust on their own. I'm seeing sensors. I know of a company, and I know the owner personally. They have a sensor that you put around the walls when you build it. So anytime there's a leak, it'll text you on your app and say, hey, you got a wet wall.
Yeah.
So they're coming up with sensors like that. I'm sure somebody will come up with the heat sensors. That'll be a good thing, and I'm sure they're out. But the way the things are being built are high tech, low cost, high efficiency, like air conditioning and things like that. So I think we need to move that way. Even the material that you use, there's more materials coming up. I read a report. There's a company out there that's coming up with a material that's like styrofoam. It's very light and it's fireproof. It's just brand new. And then you've heard of Boxable and other manufactured homes where there are pre-built homes. And it doesn't take a lot of construction time. It doesn't take 6 months to build. You can build it in 2 days and you have a house.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of innovation going on in that context, if that's what you're asking.
And they're also talking about in terms of, let's see here. Let me bring it back up. In terms of, they're also talking about lending products expanding to meet lower and middle income borrowers. And we have a program in Omaha or Nebraska called NAHB, which gives home buyer down payment assistance and that sort of thing. So that's a good opportunity for folks. That's another part of the innovation that they're seeing.
Right. Okay.
So
yeah, that helps. I mean, the number one channel, at least my opinion, the number one challenge first-time home buyers have is coming with the down payment. And when these grant programs from the city, from the county, from the state and federal, that really helps. And you can combine these to, come with down payment.
Yeah.
Like an FHA loan, right? That's an innovative product. I think that helps so many buyers.
Yep. Let's see, Clark, how long is it typically taking for them to build new construction homes in California?
Oh man, I wish I knew that, but typically, I would guess at least 6 months from start to finish. But a lot of the builders, some of the builders build 20 homes at a time. Some only build 4 at a time and phase them out.
Yep.
So they used to build 100 homes at a time, but when the crash came, they got wiped out. So now they build. I know some builders, they build 3 or 4 at a time.
Right.
So when I take my buyers, they say, "Oh, you got 4 lots, and then after those are sold, we'll have 4 more." But I would say from start to finish, I think building a house would take from getting a permits and assuming it's zoned for residential, I would say 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Minimum. That's including getting permits and things like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right, we'll jump on to the next article here, and this one here talks about the clear cooperation policy, and this is clear cooperation is just making sure that folks, agents, for a while before they had the clear cooperation policy, they wanted to make sure all the listings were published to the MLS. But what I really wanted to kind of talk about, Mike, is right here. There's one thing they're ignoring, and that is a thing called dual agency. And dual agency is something that's legal in Nebraska, but it's where one agent is representing both the buyer and the seller. So if you're a buyer, and it's really one of those things. Is California, is it allowed to have dual agency?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. Now in Nebraska, you have to have written consent from both parties.
Right.
Dual agency, where one agent or brokerage represents both parties to a transaction, creates conflict of interest. I'm not a huge fan of dual agency just because I just think there's a giant, how can one person represent 2 parties with opposing interest? I just think that's, if you're a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, I think it's good to have your own representation. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, I've done dual agencies, and sometimes it works better.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. So, I mean, those who believe in it are going to argue that it doesn't work, and those who do it are, but there's both sides to it. I mean, yes, you're right. Whose side are you going to represent? But if I know the seller, and if I know the buyers, and I know the buyers personally and the sellers personally, put them together, knowing their motivation and affordability and timing, it's a slam dunk.
Right.
On the other hand, if I don't know the buyers, and buyers kind of tough on me, and if I know the seller is a friend of mine, then as an agent, if I'm going to push for the seller, right? So it works both ways, but that's where the professional, honest, diligent, skilled agents come in, right? And the way I say is, when the buyer signs the buyer dual agency, and when the seller signs a dual agency, we have to explain to them what it is, and the buyer has to agree on it or not agree. So it's up to the buyer and the seller to decide. So the once we give them the information, at least the good skilled agents give them all the information, correct information, and the buyer decides.
Right.
So it's the buyer's decision and the seller's decision at the end.
Well, and I've done dual agency before, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but like you say, there's certain situations where it's like, you know what, it's best to keep it separate. But there's times when it can work out. But there are times when it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, ugh.
Well, let me give you an example. I did a transaction last year. This agent was kind of new, lazy, didn't know anything. So, and I'm sure you've done this, David. You're the listing agent. You get an offer, and you want this to close because of your seller. Right? And this agent is, I won't say what I feel like. It doesn't know anything, doesn't do anything. You do all the work. You call their transaction coordinator. You doing might as well be a dual agent and do it yourself. You'll do a better job, timely job, and so there's both sides to it.
And there are times where it's like, if I represent the seller, if there's no way I would want to do dual agency, because if I represented that buyer, we have basements in Nebraska, and if the house was 40 years old and there's hardwood trees and it's the sewer scope inspection, I don't want any part of being a dual agent on something like that. Now, let's see, Clark. Let's see here. Clark, I've done that before, doing all the paperwork for both sides because the agent didn't know what they were doing with the paperwork, and so yeah, that's
Yeah.
and it's kind of like sometimes working with a for sale by owner. Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, and again, that's just something where dual agency is one of those things where you got to just tread really carefully if you're a buyer or a seller and make an informed decision. All right, let's jump on the world of Reddit. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And just kind of have fun with some of these posts because these can be kind of entertaining. Okay. Advice for a first time home buyer. Hello, I'm buying. If you're buying your home for the first time, if you're a first time home buyer, probably the place you shouldn't go is to Reddit. But hey, but they, good for them. All right. Hello, I'm looking at buying my first home, and it's pretty intimidating decision. Do you have any advice for someone buying their first home in Brevard, wherever that's at? For instance, one thing someone had said here is that I found very helpful was to make sure to get a block house well above the floodplain. Okay, I wouldn't have known that without this community. Okay, I'd love to have your advice here. Thanks very much for your help. So let's see what folks, what kind of advice they got. Okay. Budget for huge increases in homeowners insurance and taxes. Now that's great advice. If the house hasn't sold in the past year or so, the property taxes will catch up in a year or two, depending on what time of year you buy. Okay. My experience, insurance started at $1,700 a year in 2022. I'm now at $4,600 a year.
Wow.
It was an old lady that owned the house forever before me. So property taxes were something like $800 a year. It's now much more. All of this resulted in a mortgage payment going from $1,600 a month to $2,400 a month. That's actually really good advice because,
Yeah.
we have a thing in Nebraska called homestead exemption, where if you're an elderly person on a fixed income, you can apply for a property tax exemption.
Wow.
And depending on your income and that, or your asset, you got to qualify for it, of course. But, if you buy a home and it was homestead exempt, the tax man's going to catch up with you. And then that's something else that we've seen, in our market lately, is how the insurance has just skyrocketed in our market. Now, what about you guys, Mike, in terms of, you guys have some sort of proposition to where your taxes can only go up a certain amount. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. We have the Howard Jarvis bill back in the 80s. It's called the Prop 13.
Okay.
So when that happened, it was a lock on the property tax, which is one, and I'm talking most of California, but in Orange County, our property tax is 1.1% of the purchase price.
Okay.
And
Wow.
every year it only increases by 2 or 3%, depending on the CPI, I believe. So
Okay.
protected. I'll give you my example. I've been here 25 years. I bought my house for $250,000.
Right.
House is worth, the median price I talked about.
Yeah.
But my property tax bill is halfway. You know
Is
what
that-
I'm saying? So
Wow.
I'm not paying property tax worth $1 million. I'm paying property tax worth probably $400,000 because it goes up 2%.
Because
So
it's
from
capped.
250 at $2,500 a month, 20 years, it has only come up so much.
Right.
So, but on the flip side, last year, and it's coming back again, there's another proposition, another bill to knock that bill out.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is something going on, so.
Okay. Now, what about your, we don't have hurricane, we don't have earthquakes in Nebraska. I think we have had an earthquake.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't hope I don't jinx us, but how do they work?
We have one every day. We don't feel it, but I just felt one. So.
Okay. How do they work that? Would you have to get a rider for that, or how does earthquake insurance work, or what's the?
Well, lenders, when we do a loan, they require the fire insurance, and we have to have that insurance. That's required.
Right.
But with earthquake, it's not required. but it's optional.
Okay.
So it's not a required item by the lender or anybody else, but it's
Okay.
up to you. I have earthquake insurance. I've had it for years,
Right.
and but
just out of curiosity, what would something like earthquake insurance run in California?
I do a monthly payment. I don't even know. It's automatic.
Is
It's
that
one
right?
of those things.
Okay.
But it's not, I think I might be paying, I don't know, no more than 2,000 a year.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that
also depends on your coverage and your deductible.
Right.
Is it 5,000, which is nothing. 5,000, you can't even fix your garage today if something happens.
Right.
So, so it all depends on your deductibles and what the value of your house is and things like that. But it's pretty reasonable.
Gotcha.
I'd say that much, so.
Okay.
It has been reasonable. It's only going to go up. I just heard today, because of the fires, State Farm, which I have State Farm, they're going to increase the insurance premiums by 22%.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
As of today. So, earthquake insurance may go up as well. So.
Yep. Evil Monkey 2 says, this is good advice. I wish I would have known. We bought 3 years ago when the property taxes caught up with our payment, went from $1,800 to $2,700. Ouch. Thankfully, we didn't buy more house than we could afford. So we had extra money, but also wasn't planning on paying nearly $1,000 extra for the house either. So that's, Marin Khan said, be aware of home. The other person talked about homeowners insurance. Make sure the roof is good. I think a lot of insurance companies require it to be under 10 years old, and make sure the AC is in good condition. Always get the home inspection and make sure it's not in a designated flood zone. Good luck with everything. We are actually selling ours because we can't afford to get the new roof and AC it needs, and realized home ownership just isn't for us. It can be overwhelming knowing that whenever something breaks, it's your problem now. And home warranties are a sham. Don't bother. And then they called out a company there. But that's something that we're seeing more of too. And that is homeowner insurance companies really scrutinizing the age of that roof.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe is here. All right, Joe, how you doing? All right. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay, this next one here, Sedona 1973. If you buy an older home, check the plumbing. We bought our home 8 years ago. We got a great deal. Even with all the work we've done to the house, it's still a great deal. Cast iron pipes started falling apart within 3 months. Found out the house had flooded, and they did Band-Aid repairs. Kept it from the real estate agent because they wanted to unload the house fast. 4 adult kids whose mom passed away. Even our inspector missed it. He missed a lot, actually, and caused us to have insurance canceled 3 times in a year due to bad paperwork. We chose not to sue anyone because we're still above water with the repairs, and the house has more than tripled in value. But seriously, check the plumbing, okay? We bought our house with CV. Another person was talking about the plumbing. Actually some good information on here. Good things to kind of talk about.
I think we just got a comment from Joe, I believe. There's a couple of comments.
Okay, let's see. Let's take a look what Joe had to say. Joe, I had a listing and 2 insurance companies said they wouldn't insure due to age and condition of the roof. Yep. And that's let's take a look here. And MH08, I got a roof exemption until I replaced it. Yep. Let's see what. Clark, you're near and dear to my heart. They should have did a sewer scan with a plumber during the due diligence period. Yeah, I'm a big believer in sewer scope inspections.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, we have tree roots on an older
roots.
home.
I see. Okay.
Let's see what Clark, if the pipes come back polybutylene, ask if they can bring those pipe up to code or PVC, etc. Okay. I would sewer scope inspection unless the house is within 20 years old. Yeah. And then they didn't give me all day to do it either. Okay. Okay. How long is your guys' when your contracts? We have a 2-week due diligence period to do any and all inspections. How long is your guys' period out there in Anaheim Hills?
Well, the standard, according to CAR, California Association of Realtors, the forms, they give you 17 days, but that's kind of default. But these days, most listing agents counter back and do it in 10 days or 12 days, all the inspections, due diligence, but they may give you 17 days for the loan, but everything else they give you. And if there's multiple offers, then they're going to nail you down to a week.
Yeah,
so
and
that gives you a lot. Yeah.
We'll see that as well. And then during the pandemic, buyers were having to waive that inspection. And boy, that and that waive the inspection completely, and that just really makes me nervous when folks do that. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what Toad Warrior says. Lots of good recommendations, so I'll iterate one topic on homeowners insurance. It seems to be a trend with the homeowners insurance. Before you buy, know the following. Can you get homeowners insurance for the home you're interested in? How much will it be, and what are the terms of the insurance? People buy a home and then start shopping and realize they can't get insurance, or the cost is smashing their budget, and that's absolutely true. Yeah, that's a good point. So that's kind of fun to look at the stuff on Reddit there. And then let's take a look. This will be kind of fun. Let's see. Let me share this one here. It's what's the dumbest thing you have done as a first-time home buyer? Okay. So this person said, let me start. I used to turn off the water heater when I go to bed. Stop after 3 days because it was an exhausting job. Okay. I've never heard of anybody doing that. Have you, Mike?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean,
to save on gas, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Arm known 63. We bought a 3,000 square foot house in 1860 and filled with old knob and tube wiring. We got a quote for $40,000 to rip and replace. Turns out the seller was an electrician and offered to do the work himself if we paid asking price instead of lowering our offer $40,000. Well, we agreed since we loved the house and didn't want to lose it. Biggest regret of my life. He cut every corner known to man. And in the past 6 months, we had to spend close to $20,000 on new electric work.
Ooh.
Don't let the seller fix anything ever. And then that seller probably didn't pull permits either. So you got to be careful about, and then as a seller, I tell my sellers, it's like, hey, guys, you want to make sure you hire professionals to do the work, because what happens if the buyers move in and let's say there was a fire, okay, and they're going to do an investigation and they're going to see that permits weren't pulled, and then you might be criminally liable if someone was hurt. So
right.
That's let's see what Clark has to say. Do you all have to do a termite inspection? It's advised here in Georgia, since we're the second state behind Florida that have termite problems. Yes, we most lenders require a termite inspection, and depending on the part of town, like if you're near Fontenelle Forest down in Bellevue, it's almost a 95% chance there's termites in your property. That's like termite heaven down there. Let's see what Joe has to say. At Clark, we don't have to do a termite report. Many buyers do get them. I advise my clients to get them unless the home is in amazing condition, and I'm in California. I mean, you guys, termites like, moist wood and that sort of thing. So I don't imagine you guys don't have as much termite problems.
We do, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of moisture. And, you could create moisture. Like I have a lot of moisture probably because my sprinklers are overrun. So there is termite issues. And like Joe says, it's not required by the lenders to do the termite. But if you put it in the report, or if the buyer puts it, hey, seller to do a termite, and if he agrees to do it, then the seller has to do it. But if they don't put in the report, then the lenders don't care.
Gotcha.
And if you don't put it in the offer, then it's not an issue at all.
Yeah, most of the time the lender is going to just dictate that for us.
Yeah,
the lender is going to require it. Let's see this next one here. Assumed renovating a large part of the house would go a lot quicker than it is. That's a big assumption that people think when they do any kind of remodeling, it's going to take longer than what you think. Baby Cakes Murphy said, LOL, I made my entire second floor uninhabitable for 6 months. I slept on a mattress on the floor in the living room. I underestimated how long things would take by 4 months, but hey, it's done now and I did a respectable job. At the very least, it's fully insulated now. Okay. A couple of folks talked about that. Okay. Island Chica 56 paid. I paid my taxes myself when the lender already escrowed already. I was 20 years old and nobody explained what escrow account was or how it worked. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Small mistake. I was going on a vacation for a month in December and I turned the thermostat to like the 50s. I forgot to turn off the heated floor in my bedroom bathroom, grateful to have it. So the thing was cranking heat for the entire duration of the month. I ended up paying 50% more in the electric bill. And that's something in Nebraska, with our cold weather, oh my gosh, you don't want to turn the thermostat down. I've had it to where a pipe burst, the seller moved out of town, or the seller moved, and if they didn't winterize the house, they didn't turn the water off at the street. And then I was a newer agent. I only had like 2 years in the business, and I had a listing. They moved out of town. I didn't tell them at the time to winterize the property. And I got a call from the neighbor saying there's water coming out of the garage and the pipe burst.
Oh, yeah.
And it flooded the entire house. And it was a disaster. So from that point forward, always winterize the, make sure you winterize it. Okay, Let's see. Clark, this is a good question. What do typical utility bills look like for both of you as homeowners in your state? I'll be honest with you, my wife takes care of that bill, and she complains to me and she keeps it really cold. So I'm sure it's
right. Yeah.
higher than what she wants, but I honestly don't know. I mean, I like to be comfortable. I like, when it's hot, I like to have AC, and when it's cold, I like to have heat. So, but she keeps it, she'll wait until the very last moment before they turn on the AC and turn on the heat, and it bothers me. But what about you? What about you, Mike? What do you?
We're pretty conservative, so we don't use a lot of AC. Just like in August, September, and the heaters on November, December, January because I like the heat.
Right.
But last month my bill for just gas was $150, which is a little bit higher than normal. But that's nothing. But summertime is like $20.
Yeah.
And my electricity bill is probably $100, $200 a month, which is not a lot because we're out of the house all day. It's just me and my wife. It used to be a lot more when the kids were around, but now they're gone.
Right.
And I would say a typical home should have about $200, $300 in electric bills. I know a lot of the bigger homes that are 3,000 square feet, 4,000 square feet,
right,
are putting solar systems, and they recommend solar systems if you have at least a $400 bill to be worth it. So $400 a month bills are not uncommon.
Right. Okay, terrific. Well, we're coming up on an hour here, and I just want to say, Mike, thank you so much for being on the stream today. Okay, sure. And had a good time, and thanks for the chat. Clark and Joe, thanks for showing up, and thanks MH08, and thanks everybody for tuning in. We had pretty good turnout today.
You had a lot of comments. I'm glad, and
thanks
for inviting, by the way, too.
You bet. And then everybody, again, check out, check out Mike's channel. It's Home Savvy Central with Mike Patel. And Mike, by the way, your thumbnails are on point. Those look great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So check them on out, and check out his content. And I really appreciate you being on the stream today. And I had a good time. And any parting thoughts? Any other thoughts or anything?
No, I think you had a good topic. I learned a lot myself, and hopefully this information for useful to the not only to the guest who commented, but the others who will be watching it live and recording. So thanks for inviting.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, hey, Mike, I tell you what, I appreciate it. You have a great day, and you guys take it easy. All right. Take it easy. You betcha. All right, everybody. Well, hey, I really appreciate you guys showing up today. And if you have any questions or anything, and be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel. And you guys make it a great day, and we'll end it from here. Thanks again.